Greetings everyone, welcome to Chess Advanced. And this game was played in 1957, but this game was played in Iceland. It was a student Olympiad, and with the white pieces we have Pal Benko, with the Benko Gambit, and with the black pieces he needs no introduction. He's a former world champion. He's Mikhail Tal. And without further ado, let's start with this game. And we have c4 English opening by Pal Benko, and we have this knight to f6, but just g3, and we have Anglo-Indian defense, and definitely here you're gonna see one of the most weirdest opening middle game transition I've ever seen. Here e5, knight bishop to g2, it was just c6, and here just knight to f3, e4, just not allowing that knight to move by Tal, and we have knight to d4, just d5, and we have a trade, c captures, queen captures. I mean, this is just very weird. But here just knight to c2, and this is even weird. And here just queen to h5, but now just going for this h3, bishop to c5, but now here just knight jumps in, and here we have queen to f5. Tal just going for that mate. I don't know, I think it was a students team, so Pal Benko might be really young, so Tal is just going for that checkmate. But definitely Pal is not here. Benko is definitely going to give him a hard time. So here knight to e3, just attacking the queen, and we have bishop captures, d captures, castles, and here just going for this queen to c2, and we have rook to e8, but now just f4, and now we have knight to a6, and here after g4. Pushing the queen back and asking Tal where are you going to put it, but just now here knight to b4, not even moving the queen. But if this comes, I mean, that's going to come with a very nice fork here, so that's going to work out very well in Tal's favor if it is allowed. But obviously Benko sees it all, so he's not going to do that. There queen to a4, but now just queen to c5, and we have a3, just taking the knight back, knight bd5, but just knight back to d1, not trading knights, and definitely giving Tal a hard time. Because if Tal was one of the best players in 1957, and if a students team is playing against him, I mean, definitely it gets annoying when a player just continues to not trade pieces and go into the end game, where Tal would be most likely to get a win very early on, but he's gonna have to play it for a long game, and that gets annoying. He had knight to d7, but that's exactly what you want to do against good players, because then maybe there will be a chance they'll get tired and you'll be able to get a win against really good players. So here bishop caps on e3, but now just here queen to e7, bishop back to f3, but now just knight to c5, and now those knights are looking very much amazing with that attack on the queen. And we have this queen back to c2, but just a5, and here after king to f2, I mean, this king to f2 move really dangerous, because here all this not right now the bishop is defending it, but you're gonna have to be very much careful here. So here just a4, just pushing forward, and we have rook to b1, but just now b6, and here after bishop to d2, now you play this bishop to a6, and I mean, all of the pieces, almost all of the pieces are in the attack, and Tal is definitely going to unleash fury here. Here the best move was just e3, just try and get the knight out of that square, because that is very much strong. And after a move like queen to h4 allowing that, you play king to g2 and you're safe, there's no issues. But there's just going to be a little bit of an issue if you blunder here even a little bit, like if you play a silly move like bishop captures. Now you play this bishop captures on e2, and now the game could absolutely fall apart, because here knight captures, and now once you play rook to f2, rook to h2, here this knight captures on d2, and after queen captures, you can see that this is going to be very much difficult, because now comes the star move, rook captures, and once the queen captures, now you get this very nasty fork. I mean, this is just going to be very much bad if you are very much mistaken, because if you allow that queen to jump in, it could go wrong in several ways. And Pal Benko realized that. He played king to g2, not letting that to come with a tempo. But here just knight to b3, and those knights are absolute monsters here. Rook to e1, but now just rook a b d8, all getting all the pieces into the attack, not even leaving one. Here we have e4 finally, but now comes this knight to d4, attacking the queen, queen to c1, knight to b3, attacking the queen once again. We have queen to c2, knight to f6, and here going for this bishop to e3. And here we have knight captures, bishop captures, queen captures, and we have this queen captures, rook captures, and here after bishop captures, you play this rook d to e8. Now Tal has a beautiful pair of set of rooks, and he is threatening to just pick up that pawn. Here knight to c3 defending it, but just rook caps on f4, and here rook b d1, c5, and just not allowing that bishop to get back that easily. Here we have this king to g3 attacking the rook, now rook to f6, but just knight to d5 attacking the rook once again, and we have knight f to e6, but now just going for this knight to c7, just forking both the rooks. And if anyone that is better in this position is definitely the person with the white. We have Benko, who is better against Tal, but he has to find the right continuation, because here if you play a move like rook caps on e2, I mean, this is completely blunders the game for Tal. simply because of the fact you don't recapture but you capture this knight captures, and you cannot capture because you obviously get mated. So here you're going to have to be very much careful to not make such mistakes. I mean, they're wood grandmasters, so they are obviously not going to make such mistakes, but still. Here just rook to e3 check, and king to f2, absolute best moves. But here just rook caps on e2, rook captures, and now the best move is just moving back. But instead of this, just king to g3 was played, and now it's a little bit bad. It's not that bad, but Tal knows how to convert little bit bad and take that into for his own advantage. Because here just rook to e3 check, king to f2, and just rook to d3, rook to e1. But now just rook to d2 check, and these pawns are looking very very delicious if you're not careful. King to g3, but now here just trapping that rook to not letting it go for that mate. And now here just knight to a6, and here after c4, the best move for Benko in this position. I mean, you start to make a little bit of inaccuracies, and Tal is definitely going to call you out on that. And here, the best move that you have to play in this position is just knight to b4. Otherwise, your position just slowly starts to crumble. And here, after move like f6, just making some room for the king, we have knight to d5, and after move like rook caps on b2, you play this knight to c3 and just threaten to grab that pawn. But here, after bishop to d3, now you just play rook to e8 check, king moves, and here rook to 8. After rook to c2, now you just play give a check, king moves, and now you capture that pawn, and you get this position where Tal's pass pawn is just much faster, and most likely Tal is going to go out to win this game. So instead of this, he played this knight to c5, but this just doesn't work. So I'm going to ask you to pause the video and try and find out the move that actually wins you this game in a few more moves, but that is the best move in this position. So have at it. So congratulations to everyone who's able to find this move. The move is as simple as just going for this knight captures. And here after move like bishop captures, now you go for this rook caps on b2. And this pawn is unstoppable. And you're going to have, I mean, you can stop it, but you're going to have to give up material. So there's no point in that. Bishop to d4. Now you play rook to d2, and here bishop to e3. Rook to a2, king to f4, f6. And now you go for this h4. And here after c3, now just g5 was played, but f captures on g5, h captures, and just king to f7, slowly bringing the king into the game. But king to e4, now c2, and here just bishop to c1 was tried, but here rook to a1, and here king to e3 was tried. But Tal being Tal, he just ends the game in his style. He goes for this rook caps on c1, and that is absolutely a beautiful move, because if you capture, then your rook gets trapped. I mean, there is no way for you to enter the game anymore, and it's going to be very much difficult. At least it's going to take a few more moves, and the king is going to join the party, and you're going to just completely losing position. So here after rook captures, here you could also go for this rook caps on e2, but even after that, the end game is completely not in your favor. So here after rook caps on c1, time Pal Benko resigned the game, and he got the spectacular game in just 55 moves. Tal was able to get this amazing victory against Pal Benko. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming back with such amazing games from the past, so stay tuned for that and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys very soon. Thank you.